Hi, I'm Nidhi. I've had the good fortune of working across brands over the last 20 years that have helped me learn, evolve, and grow. And that learning continues as we see marketing undergoing transformation like we haven't before. And that is what is called modern marketing, is what everyone's calling it now. And simply put, modern marketing is a focused approach in which you use data and insights and you listen and respond to customer signals throughout the customer's journey. And when you do that, you are able to predictively drive revenue for your business as well as land better customer experience. So now I will share with you my 5 tips on how you can adapt to modern marketing imperatives by using marketing insights and keeping them at the forefront of everything you do. The first and most important one is invest in knowing your customers. So what's new, you would ask? There's nothing new here, but how you do it is what is new. Use data and insights to listen to your customers across platforms and listen in such a way that you address their needs versus pushing your product and your pitch to the customer. The world has changed. We have to first listen to the customer and then seamlessly integrate what we want to say in the customer's journey and not the other way around. So that would be the first one. I'll take an example. In one of my previous organizations, we were trying to sell websites to small business owners. And this was many years ago, so websites were not really seen as something that a business owner would want to invest time and effort in. And they would go to a web developer and the web developer would charge X amount of money. So it was not really a do-it-yourself type of product. And we were creating a need for a product like that. So we kept pushing our message out there, but we were not getting the returns on investment that we wanted. And then we realized maybe the message that we are landing is not right. And this is where, in knowing your customer, is where art of marketing would meet science of marketing. Because you can actually use that data to refine your messaging, listen to the customer, understand what they want to hear from you versus what you want to say to them. And we realized that the customer was not looking at website as a solution, because their first priority was, as a small business owner, to get loans, to get investments. So then we went ahead and partnered with banks to land our message to the customer, so that we integrated ourselves in the journey versus us pushing customer to come to our journey. So the second tip would be that we focus on people and empower them with the right technology. Perhaps the biggest mistake that marketeers and organizations make today, or the biggest trap they fall into, is that they look to technology for an answer. Technology is the enabler for you to find the answer or get the answer. Technology is not the answer. People, focus on people, empower them so that they can learn more, solve more, and then you come to technology. And thinking of tech as one massive disruption or a single chess move that can actually flip every problem that you have is not the right way to go about it. And we've seen a lot of people make that mistake. As an example, what we do at Microsoft is we have a central engine. We call it the Global Demand Center, wherein every interaction that the customer has with us, basis their consent of course, every interaction that the customer has with us gets captured in the engine as a signal. And that's a customer demand signal and not a push signal. So customer is asking for that signal and giving us that message, and with every interaction. And then it gets captured in this engine, which is backed by AI and machine learning. And over a period of time, through the nurture journey, once the customer goes forward, there is lead scoring that happens. And then it pops out from the engine as a machine learning qualified marketing lead, MLQML. Gone are those days when a customer would interact or click on your banner or interact with you at an event, virtual or physical, and you could consider them a lead. That is just interest that the customer is showing. Doesn't mean that they are going to make the purchase. And that is why it's important to think about lifetime value, important to think about how do you put customer in a nurture journey so that they engage with you over a period of time. And that's how you develop high engaged customer versus a customer who you may think is a lead. So sifting out the data is very important, and that's where people come in. So while the engine may give you this information, the insights have to be drawn from that engine, and that's why focus on people and empower them with the right tech. The next tip would be to understand the customer journey. Using relevant and timely interventions using data to be able to talk to the customer in the right manner at the right time, turn up certain channels, turn down certain marketing channels. All of that defines the journey and how well you understand it. As an example, you want to go buy a phone tomorrow. You will talk to your friends about it on perhaps through your mobile device, or you would go search, or you would go look at some review websites, or you'll go to some e-commerce portals. Now, it's very important for the organization that's targeting you as a customer to make sure they understand your journey. What is your typical pattern? And that cohort gets formed. So a person like you typically would go for review first, followed by interactions on social platforms, followed by word of mouth, or the other way around. And this journey and how much time you're spending on each platform, and that's how you create profiles. You understand and create cohort profiles, and that's what your different aspects of journey gets mapped as. And then as a brand, you have to integrate yourself into that journey versus saying, okay, irrespective of whichever platform, I'll just burn money and I'll target you on every platform, whether or not you are relevant or reading that website at all. So you use data and you use insights that you're getting from listening to customers to identify where your customer is spending most time. What do they do after reviewing a site? They go to perhaps Cricinfo and spend time reading, then they go to LinkedIn and they go to Facebook or Instagram or whichever platforms. You identify cohorts so that a cohort is a similar behaving customer who comes to you at a certain value, and that's how you create classification of different types of sub-segments within your core profile. You're targeting me as a customer, but other people like me may not behave the same manner that I do. So there'll be a certain profile A, profile B, profile C, and that's how you create a whole cohort of customers. And then you identify throughout the journey, what is the value that I add to that customer? And then at the end of that journey, after let's say a year or so in a subscription-based model, at the 13th month when the renewal has happened, did that customer come back to me or not? Did I engage with them throughout that journey or not? Or did I sell the product to them in one go and then not engage with them after? So I'll take an example of, again, one of the previous organizations I was working with. We realized that a customer that we acquired through search engine, was a customer who was a price sensitive customer. So that customer, typically whose acquisition point was search, gave us the least amount of lifetime value, which means that their average order value over a period of 1 year was the least amount. Whereas a customer that came directly on our website or came through display had a higher LTV as it is called. So we were able to identify certain cohorts. And then we were able to say, okay, do I want to consciously make a strategy of acquiring customers through search even though my value of that customer is the lowest over a period of time? Or do I want to make a conscious strategy of letting go of volumes of customers and going after value customers who give me more business during that same 12-month period and who have a higher probability of renewing when the subscription came up for renewal? So it's very important to understand that whole journey that each customer cohort goes into, and then how do you apply that journey learning into your strategy of targeting new customers. So my next tip would be to optimize performance. But before you optimize performance, you have to understand what is the business goal that you are chasing. So for example, if you are a new age startup and your business goal is more customer acquisition, then you have to understand what your customer journey was, which we spoke about, and then accordingly align what success would look like. Before you get started, align on what success will look like with your business stakeholders, with your internal stakeholders, with your team, and then you optimize performance to make sure that you are either driving growth, and whether it's customer acquisition, whether it's customer retention, or it's renewal. And this is also the place where you can actually plug the leaky bucket. Again, taking an example of search that I spoke about, maybe that's a channel where you realize that, okay, you know what, the customers who are coming from search are also the customers who I am losing the most after my subscription comes up for renewal, because that customer is perhaps a trigger happy customer who's gone ahead and made a small ticket purchase and forgotten about it, not activated the product, and hence when a renewal comes up, the customer doesn't want to renew because they didn't use the product. How many of us sign up for health apps and fitness courses and things like that, especially during these times when we're working from home? And if we don't use them, then the next time when renewal comes and you see your credit card bill and you're like, what am I paying this monthly fee for, because I'm not using the product? So similarly, apply it to your business. Whichever business you are in, you have a first 30-day window to engage with your customer so that you can activate. This is one of the learnings I've had, that first 30 days after a customer acquisition are very critical, because that's the time the customer has you top of mind. You can actually make a big difference in activating your product, and once the product is activated, there's a high probability the customer will be using it and renewing it. So very, very important to consider these points when you're looking at optimizing performance, corking the leaky bucket, or accelerating growth via new customer acquisition, or driving more value from existing customers. So optimize performance while keeping the business goals in mind. And now we come to the last one, measuring impact and understanding ROI. So in this one, to bring it to life, I'll share an example of a campaign that I had done, which was actually one of the disastrous campaigns that I would call it, but it also helped me learn a lot, and that's where my biggest learning came. So when you're measuring impact, one of the biggest things you have to keep in mind is the approach that I swear by now, which is test, learn, and then scale. So in one of my previous organizations, we went ahead and said, okay, I'll take the same example. We want to bring small businesses online. The next door neighborhood bakery or a cloth shop in one of the busy markets, or any of those traditional businesses, family-run businesses. So we launched a 3-city mega campaign in partnership with other brands as well. Took literally a bus going around the city promoting that message, took big hoardings and full-scale ATL and BTL campaign, a full funnel campaign. Went all out across 3 cities. It was supposed to be originally a 10-city plan, but we went only in 3, said, okay, let's start with these 3, the metros, and then we will move to the rest. Once we started, we were not getting the traction, and we realized that we had burned 70% of our funds and not even achieved 30% of our business goals, because there were targets that we had defined on how we will measure success. You have to have that as your North Pole. And then as a result, we then took stock and shut down that campaign, because there was no point putting in more money behind it. So it's very important that you learn from your mistakes, pause what is not working, and there is no embarrassment in going out there and owning up to that mistake and saying, this happened, this went wrong, but here is what I learned from it. And one thing that I learned from that was always test, learn, and then scale. Don't start with scale unless you've tested your theories, you've tested your the mathematics of your campaign, you've tested some of the fundamentals that you're testing out from a messaging perspective. So we got a lot of visibility, a lot of PR value, a lot of the softer things. The entire industry was talking about it. So we got share of voice, but what we didn't get was hardcore business. And that is why I was calling it a failure, but the learning was immense. So measuring impact and understanding ROI is very critical. So as a marketeer, as part of this tip, the first thing you would do is what defines success, which is understand before you start the campaign as to what will call it successful and what will not make it so successful. And hence, when you start out with that as your North Star, then you go ahead and say, okay, let me start with a small pilot. Start with a small pilot, learn from it, build a framework that I can then expand and scale out the campaign. Because that's when you can land real ROI on a campaign versus going all out. So test, learn, and scale. With this, I will wrap up by saying that I found my passion, which is to solve business problems through marketing and inspire my team to work towards a common goal. I hope you find your passion and keep that learner's mindset. And if you like this session, please do see the Upgrad Grassroots other modules that are available on their YouTube channel.